Hi, this is Emma from the Eclectic Phoenix on YouTube, and today I'm going to be reading a fan fiction. But before I do that, I just want to draw attention to one of my sites that I made called Post Your Heart, and it's a site where you can basically post and promote any art thing that you want, and you can put your fan fictions up, like, it's got general topics here. You can introduce yourself. There's special interest boards, but here's the boards where you can post your art, and you can put up your poetry, your fiction, your nonfiction, your fan fiction, art, music, your original games, your crafts, your music, videos, cosplay, basically whatever you want on my forum. So if anybody wants to just drop by and, you can make your own gallery space and add things to it. You can create a blog. You can, find an editor, ask for collabs, get writing help. You can post reviews. There's a lot of stuff to do here. And I would just love to have people join. So if you guys want to go ahead and just check out my Post Your Heart site, that would be really awesome. And now we can get into the video. So today, I'm going to be reading a fan fiction. I'm having people submit them to my site or my group here on fimfiction.net. My group is called the Share Center, and it's founded by me, Lyra Alus. That's me. And I'm having people submit fan fictions to this reading submission thread here. So if you have a fan fiction that you want me to read, please submit it to this thread and I will read it on my channel. And today I'm going to start with a fan fiction that was submitted by LightOfTriumph. That's him here. And it's called They'll Grow With Them. The description is, Bright Mac has received some news from Buttercup that will change their lives forever. So we're going to go here. And before I read the fan fiction, I just want people to follow LightOfTriumph on Fim Fiction. If he's someone that you want to support his writing, please follow him. Bookmark the story if you happen to like it, and give it a big thumbs up if you happen to like the story. And leave a comment, because that always helps authors. So remember to do these things and help to support his writing. Now I will begin. It's called They'll Grow With Them. Anyone who looked at Bright Mac as he was now, barreling down the street to the hollow leg, would think he was either sick or off his rocker. His heart was thumping out of his chest. Every inch of his body was shaking. His voice was nearly gone from all of the shouting he'd been doing. His pupils had dilated to the point where they were barely visible. He could barely breathe. He wasn't sure if he was beaming with pride or if he was grimacing in abject terror. It could be either at this point. After all, both emotions were roiling around in his brain. After the news he just got, it was completely understandable. Bright Mac was scared stiff. Bright Mac felt like he was 10 feet tall. If he was sick or crazy, he never wanted to get well. He burst into the Hollow Lake Tavern, and the smell of mahogany and freshly brewed beer washed over him like the tides. He always loved that smell, but today he barely noticed it. Every face in the bar turned to the loud thud of the bat-wing doors slamming hard against the wall. Bright Mac looked around the room to see if he could find the two ponies he was looking for. Eventually he did. They were sitting at the bar, ordering another round. A young hotshot with slick back hair and a loose tie around a shirt collar, and a rustic-looking stallion with a gray mane and the ghost of a mustache beginning to appear on his lip. They were the only ones who didn't turn to face Bright Mac when he walked in. "I'm telling you, Bert," the slick-backed hotshot began. "It's a good investment. I've already made a killing." "Well, congratulations, Filthy," Burnt Oak replied. "Rich," Filthy Rich replied solemnly. It's just rich." "Not to anyone who knows you," Burnt replied. "Anyway, what would I do with that much money anyhow? Assuming that this chin store thing of yours doesn't crash and burn." "Chain store thing of yours doesn't crash and burn." "What would I do with that kind of money?" he asked. Filthy Rich scoffed. "Only two things to do. Spend it or save it, and you..." It was then that they noticed Bright Mac's presence, standing behind them, grinning like a damn fool. It took them a bit to assess Bright Mac's expression. Filthy Rich broke the silence first. "All right," he said. "You've known him longer than I have. Is he happy or stressed?" "Nah, he's happy," Burnt Oak replied. "If he was stressed, there'd be more alcohol." "Good to know my antenna's good for something," Filthy nodded. "So what is he happy about? To look at him, you'd swear he just got late." Don't do that, all right." Burnt raised a hoof to stop his friend. "Besides, he's a married stallion. He's not getting that excited after what would probably be a regular occurrence." "Regular occurrence," Filthy laughed. "Do me a favor, Burnt. Write that sentence down and take a look at it after your 5th year of marriage." "Marriage? That's it." Bert seemed to be getting closer to the truth, much to Bright Mac's delight. "I haven't seen him with that much of a goofy grin on his face since the honeymoon. Could anything make him that happy again?" "Yep," Bright Mac said, finally managing to eke out an audible noise of confirmation. Filthy Rich's eyes widened. "He's getting monosyllabic on us," he said. "Should we be concerned?" "Oh, wow." Burnt Oak put his hoof over his mouth. "I've only seen him get like this one other time, when he was talking to me about pear butter for the first time, so unless he's met another girl, which in my opinion would make this entire conversation 1,000 times more interesting," Filthy Rich added. I know." Burnt Oak smiled and turned to the bartender. "Will someone please pour my friend a drink? He's about to become a father." "Yes," Bright Mac screamed, pumping his hoof in the air and dancing around the bar like an idiot. He needed to hear someone say it. He needed someone outside the situation to look at him and say those words. Now it was real. Now it was happening. Now he could let himself get excited. After 3 wonderful years of marriage, Pear Butter was pregnant. Pregnant. The next word that Pear Butter needed to write down was pregnant. It was a grim annual tradition for Pear Butter, now going by Buttercup, to write a letter to her estranged father. This letter would tell him all the news of her life since he left it, and beg him to be part of her family again. It was hard for him. She understood that. She had no regrets about what she did, but it wasn't very fair to him. After feuding with the Apples for years, the Pear family had decided to move away from Ponyville. But Pear Butter stayed behind. She had fallen in love with and married the Apples' oldest son, Bright Mac, and now she was pregnant. She felt more like she needed her father now than at any other time in her life. Bright Mac was so excited. She would have been too if she wasn't so terrified. She was still very young, not even into her late 20s, and Bright Mac worked a lot. He worked often and very hard, and she would in essence be raising this foal alone for a lot of the time. She didn't know if she could handle that. Scratch that. She was damn near positive she couldn't handle that. She put the pen down, covered her eyes, and thought about crying. She was just about to start when she heard a voice from just outside the room. The shaky drawl started. "Can we talk for a minute?" The presence of the voice nearly pushed her into an open weeping. The relationship with her mother-in-law had been icy, to say the very least. The couple had moved into the farm with her, the farm that they would eventually inherit. But the feud between the Pears and the Apples was bitter on both sides. So inviting a Pear into her home and watching her own son dote on her constantly was difficult for Granny Smith. Pear Butter quickly composed herself and looked up. "Yes," she said. She never knew how to start with Granny Smith. Yeah, that's fine. Granny Smith started. "I haven't been rightly fair to you since you moved in." Pear Butter was shocked to hear that from her. She just sat there, mouth agape, and let Granny Smith continue. "I never liked your pa," she said quietly. "You knew that, but I never really tried to get to know you. That ain't right. My boy ain't easily swayed, and he's a darn good judge of character. If he likes you, if he loves you, you can't be all that bad. Probably ain't bad at all." "Well," Pear Butter started, "neither is Dad, really. I know it." "No," Granny Smith said firmly. "He raised you right, young'un, but your pa is a nasty piece of work." Pear Butter was taken aback. Granny Smith meant that more earnestly than anything she had ever said in the feud up to that point. "Bright Mac could have married Nightmare Moon," Granny Smith continued, "and I could have found 8 dead bodies in his room when he was 10. He could have come at me with a hoof and butcher knife. There ain't no excuse for turning your back on your foals, ain't none." Pear Butter was starting to tear up again. "And I could have even understood him walking out on the wedding," Granny Smith said quietly. "When you're angry, you forget yourself. Heck, I almost did. But you have done your damnedest to bring him back into your life. He's had 3 years to calm down. There ain't no excuse for doing that to family." Pear Butter closed her eyes. She didn't know what to feel anymore. "Well," Granny Smith straightened up, "you're an apple now. You're part of the family, and I am to take care of you. And that bun in your oven, heck, you can't even call me Mama when you want to. So if you got any questions to a mare that's been through this before, just go right ahead and ask them." Buttercup was seconds away from breaking down. "More importantly, Buttercup," Granny Smith reached out and touched Buttercup's hoof. "How are you feeling?" That did it. "Oh, Mama, I'm just so scared." She fell into her mother-in-law's arms weeping. "I just don't know what to do. I can't do this alone. I can't." "Shh," Granny Smith said quietly. "Now, who said you'd be doing this alone?" "Bright Mac is working most of the day," Buttercup said desperately. "We can hire some hands," Granny Smith explained. "The orchard's darn important, but nothing's more important than kin." "I don't feel like I even really grew up," Buttercup sniffed. "How am I supposed to raise a baby?" Granny Smith gave a little laugh. "Sugar Cube, what you just did was echo the thoughts of every mother since the beginning of time, including me." Buttercup took another sharp sniff and looked up at Granny Smith. "We all get scared," Granny Smith continued. "It's a big step in your life, and there ain't no way to train for motherhood. There's a lot of trust involved. You gotta trust the doctors, the father. You gotta trust yourself too." Buttercup leaned back and brushed the tears out of her eyes. "Now, a few pieces of advice." Granny Smith sat a little straighter as if preparing to teach a class. "Your body's going to go through hell. Sorry about that, but it is. You're gonna feel sick in the morning and sore at night, and when it comes time, take all them drugs they give you. My hubby didn't believe in them, and when it comes time for me to join him in paradise, he's owed a swift whipping with the hickory switch." Buttercup laughed, but took mental notes regardless. "Second, you're going to be emotionally off," Granny Smith said, obviously trying to put something difficult into words. "Things are gonna make you cry that wouldn't if your head was right. Just remember, when that happens, it's Bright Mac's fault until you're back to normal. Trust me, it helps." Buttercup's tears were all but a memory now, but she still had a question to ask, one she felt ashamed of even thinking about it. But it was going to be there in her mind until she said something. "Is it worth it?" she finally said out loud. "Is it worth all this?" Granny Smith nodded. "Yep," she said confidently. "You can tell that because some mares want to go through all this again." Buttercup smiled at this thought, but leaned back. "I'm sitting here terrified," she scoffed. "Bright Mac is probably still on cloud 9. Right about now," Granny Smith put her hoof on Buttercup's, "he's just as terrified. Wanna bet?" "Hey, is anyone else having trouble breathing?" Bright Mac asked frantically. "Just me." The fear had overtaken the excitement around 5 minutes ago. Bright Mac came to the horrifying realization that very soon someone's life was quite literally going to depend on him. Him, the stallion with the two friends he was sitting beside, accidentally lit a house on fire while trying to paint it. How? How did that happen? But he had grown up since then, right? He'd certainly got older. But as for maturing, the jury was still out on that one. "You're gonna be fine," Burnt Oak reassured him. "Wait a minute. Wait, yep. Yes." Bright Mac nodded. "My heart has stopped." "If your heart has stopped, you be dead, Bright Mac," Filthy Rich commented. "You ain't a doctor, Filthy," Bright Mac said harshly. "What the hoof are you two worried about, Mac?" Burnt Oak asked. "You're one of the most responsible ponies I know." "I have to, in the next 18 years, take a creature that can't walk, talk, or use the bathroom right, and somehow transform it into a productive member of society," Bright Mac seethed. "It don't matter a damn if I'm responsible. I have to be a magician, and do you see a horn on this head?" "Your parents did a decent job raising you," Filthy continued. "You're not a complete idiot." "First of all, thanks a lot," Bright Mac said sardonically. "Second, my parents raised a little colt. You know they come in two types, right?" "That'd be so bad about a filly?" Burnt Oak asked. "Because I've never been a little filly," Bright Mac replied. "Up for debate," Filthy Rich said. "Shut up," Bright Mac added quickly. "If she took after Buttercup, that'd be a handful on its own. But for Celestial's sake, what if she takes after Ma? I've heard stories of timber wolves and staying out until the small hours, and who knows what else she's got up to." "Your dad, probably," Filthy Rich added. "Shut up," Bright Mac said through gritted teeth. "And all that is ignoring the fact that anytime she comes up to me and asks me a question about her body or dealing with the boys or anything like that, my intelligent response is gonna be, duh, ask your mother." "And we'll all pretend that wouldn't be the case regardless," Filthy Rich added. "That's it," Bright Mac shouted. "I'm putting a curse on you. May you be the father of daughters." That got the laugh from his two friends. "Okay, look," Filthy Rich said. "You got the easy part. After a fun night, at least, I hope it was a fun night, in 9 months, you're gonna have this adorable little foal who worships the ground you walk on and wants to be just like you. Buttercup is the one who has gone through all the morning sickness and the screaming and the sore ankles. Kick back and relax." That horrifying thought hadn't occurred to Bright Mac until now. "Oh, sweet Celestia," Bright Mac said. "You're right." "He is," Burnt Oak said, stunned. "Hey," said Filthy Rich happily, "there's a first time for everything, isn't there?" "I just left," Bright Mac put his hooves in his mane. "I got overexcited and I just ran off. I just left her there. What kind of worthless husband am I to even... I gotta get home soon as possible." Bright Mac frantically prepared to leave. "Burnt," Filthy said calmly, "remind me to never get married." "Yeah, like it's that easy," Burnt Oak scoffed as Bright Mac slipped on some spilled beer and quickly righted himself. "A mare will hook you one day, you mark my words." "Too wild to tame, that's me," Filthy smirked as Bright Mac fumbled for his wallet to pull off the ciders. "I'll prove how much of a stud I am. Any mare in this spire I will take home tonight. You pick her." "All right," Burnt Oak straightened up and looked around the bar as Bright Mac tried to get the bits out of his wallet but wound up dropping them on the floor. "Ice Queen in the corner, the one who's looking at us like we're rodeo clowns all night. Pink coat, purple mane?" Filthy Rich asked as Bright Mac paid the tab. "Cutie mark like a diamond ring?" "Yep," Burnt Oak said as Mac slipped on the beer again. As Mac was finally out the door, he could hear Filthy say, "You know, she's pretty cute." Bright Mac sprinted the entire way home to find his wife sitting on the porch swing knitting something, seeming somewhat content. This was unnerving for 2 reasons. Buttercup didn't know how to knit, and if Bright Mac was in this state, what in Tartarus was keeping her so calm? She looked up and gave him a smile, the smile he lived for, the kind of smile that lights up a room that you didn't even realize was dim. It helped calm his nerves. "I didn't even know you could knit," Mac panted. "I can't," Buttercup said frankly. "It was supposed to be baby socks, but..." She held up a 3-foot-long rectangle of material. "I got a little carried away. It's a scarf now." Bright Mac laughed a little. then ran next to the porch swing and knelt down, holding his wife's hoof. "Honey, I'm just so sorry. I just ran out," he said pleadingly. "I just got so excited when you told me the news. I understand. It's all right," Buttercup said quietly, touching his cheek. "I still need to tell my friends. I know chiffon will hit the roof. Sorry, Cupcake, soon. Oh, and our invitations came today." "Invitations?" Bright Mac said, sitting on the porch swing and putting an arm around her. "Oh, right. She's getting married to that carrot stick fella." "Carrot cake," Buttercup corrected. "And it's the least we can do after all she's done for us." "I'll be there in my best tux," Bright Mac reassured her. "You'll be there in a rented tux," Buttercup clarified. "You aren't showing up to my best friend's wedding in that garish plaid nightmare." Bright Mac gave a hearty laugh at that one. The tuxedo was truly terrible. "No, I haven't really told anyone except..." The air around Buttercup suddenly soured. "I sent a letter to Dad. I told him." Bright Mac held his wife a little more tightly. "He's got to write back this time, right?" Buttercup said, obviously not really believing it. "It's his grandkid. He's got to write back." "Of course he does," Bright Mac said, keeping up the lie for his wife's sake. "Of course he will." Buttercup thanked him silently and then continued. "Mac, I'm scared," she said earnestly. "I don't know if I can do this." "Be a mama," Bright Mac said. "Of course you can. Mothers have to be kind, which is everything I love about you. Stern when the moment comes to it, and that's you with the tuxedo back there. And you have to be able to listen to the fool when he's having trouble, and the fact you're able to do that for me is the only thing that ever kept me sane. There's no doubt about it. You're gonna be a great mom." Buttercup laid her head on her husband's shoulder and smiled. Fathers are supposed to be strong, and there's no respect in which you don't fit that description. They're supposed to be funny, which you are ever since I've known you. She snuggled in tighter. "Fathers are supposed to be supportive, and you help me keep up the fantasy about Dad. He'll be fine. We'll be fine, and so will Big Macintosh." "Big Macintosh?" Bright Mac asked, bewildered. "Or Applejack if it's a girl," Buttercup smiled. "I get no say in this, do I?" Bright Mac laughed. "Well, if you're gonna have any ideas for names," Buttercup closed her eyes. Bright Mac looked at his wife and touched her chin to raise her head to eye level. "I was thinking Pear Bloom for a girl." Buttercup gave a sad smile. "No," she said softly. "No, thank you, but no, I'm not a pear anymore. Dad made that perfectly clear. We'll be raising apples, and that's fine." Bright Mac couldn't take it anymore. This was obviously killing her. The pears were as close as the apples were until this happened. "Wait here," he said, as he left the porch swing to go behind the farmhouse. "Where are you going?" Buttercup asked, as Bright Mac found the 2 potted saplings he kept behind the house. He kept one behind his back and one in the front of him as he walked back to the porch. He presented the first sapling to his wife. "It's in decent condition," Buttercup said frankly. "You should put it in the orchard with the rest of the apple trees." Bright Mac grinned and produced the second sapling. Pear Butter put her hoof over her mouth and started to tear up. "I don't know how well I've been taking care of it," Bright Mac said nervously. "I know what I'm doing with an apple tree, but I had to research how to take care of a pear tree. It's a little dry." Buttercup choked as she came closer to examine the sapling. "Before a first try, it's a really good attempt." "You can help me from now on," Bright Mac said softly. "I got a little place in the orchard. We plant them side by side, and if we're doing this right, they'll grow into each other. Come together to make something new." Buttercup closed her eyes. "And when both of our families are ready," Mac smiled, "we'll set aside some room in the orchard for a few pear trees." Pear Butter looked up at Bright Mac. "Why?" she said quietly. "'Cause I love your family," Mac said frankly. "You're part of your family. Our kids are going to be part of your family, and I wouldn't have it any other way." Pear Butter gave her husband a soft smile. "So we plant the trees, we watch them grow together, and our kids..." Bright Mac couldn't help but smile at the thought. "They'll grow with them." Bright Mac was surprised when his wife wrapped him in a sudden tight embrace. "You know something," she said tearfully. "I just realized how perfect our baby's gonna be." And that's the end of the story, They'll Grow Together, by LightOfTriumph on FimFiction.net. Thank you so much for watching this video today, and I will be reading more stories soon. So if you have any more stories, remember to submit them to the thread in my group, the Share Center. I'll be putting a link to that in the description. This one, the MLP Fan Fiction Readings submission thread in my group, the Share Center, and FimFiction.net. Go ahead and submit it to the thread, and I will read your story on my channel. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope that everyone has a great day. And goodbye for now.